of your favorite show. And producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the Cow Killer, Casey McAllister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace Fowler.
Well, hello to a beautiful Friday edition of Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Reed Mouse, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett up here. Producers over there, Jimmy Collins, Casey McAllister. Today on the show, we are going to give nuanced takes on the Palestinian-Israel war. And Jacob's going to give his opinions on giving monetary aid to Ukraine as they fight Russia. That and more today on Off the Bench. You guys ready to give our best show ever?
I can't wait. We're always a very serious sports talk show, so we might as well delve into other things.
Right. I think we can give nuanced takes to what's happening in the real world, not just what's happening in the toy aisle of the world, as Trace likes to say. That is what we do here on sports. But for real, we've got a fun show for you today. We are going later on in the show give you the top 10 worst active contracts in professional sports. We're going to talk about the Reds series against the Brewers, a big one for the Cincinnati Reds. Trevor Lawrence getting Joe Burrow money. What we think about that? I have a feeling Casey McAllister and Jacob Tissett are going to hate it. They're going to absolutely hate it. Jimmy Collins going to be giving the chat power rankings this week. Is that true, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'm going to do top 10 chat power rankings at the end of the show.
Jimmy ranks. Jimmy ranks later on in this show. Should be a good one.
Will there be any honorable mentions?
Nope, just top 10.
No
Just top
participation
10.
awards at Notre Dame.
No participation awards.
Just top 10.
Yep.
I
Play like a champion today.
think
Yep.
I gave out about 45 when I did it last.
I'd say so.
So
On brand?
he's going to, participation trophies. I mean, everyone, you guys participate in the chat. I think you deserve a little trophy. I don't know.
I agree. By the way, listen, today's a very serious sports talk show. We are Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports, presented as always by United Dairy Farmers. We come your way, by the way, every morning on our YouTube channel, Chatterbox Sports, from 10 to 12, 10A to 12-ish P. And then we go on the radio from 1 to 3-ish. So welcome in if you are a radio listener on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. What a special day it is. It was hot this morning. It's really hot.
It's warm out there. Yesterday we went on the baseball diamonds.
Oh.
We're going to have that video coming out. I threw to everyone here except for Casey. I threw to Jimmy, Elliot, and Jacob. And no spoilers there, but we were sweating. It was warm out there.
It was hot.
It was warm out there on the turf. We had a
Very
lot of
warm.
fun. It was a lot of fun.
I forgot how hot turf pellets get. I was walking around, they got in my shoes. I hadn't been on turf in quite some time, and turf pellets get real hot.
Playing on turf in the summer is not that much fun.
No.
That was your first time ever playing baseball on turf, right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's actually a lot more fun. It makes the game a lot easier.
It's a completely different game when it comes to like the infield. I don't know what it's like in the outfield, but the infield, you can strategically bounce baseballs everywhere. So if you're at short, just whiz a ball 10 feet short of the first baseman, easy little bounce.
When it comes, obviously at the professional level, the grass is perfect. So you don't have, there's no lips, so you don't have to worry about weird bounces or anything like that. But when you play on high school fields and stuff like that, you prefer turf. Both the fielders do and the hitters do. Hitters do because it gets through the infield quicker. Fielders do because it takes 2 hops right to you. You don't have. It's much easier to play the position. But it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun yesterday. But yeah, we got a fun show for you guys today. And Elliot, I know there wasn't a whole lot going on in the world wide of sports, but there were a few things.
Very little things. This is the part of the year that just stinks. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But again, you can't pay me to watch it. I saw that game. I'm going to give the score of that game. I'm going to give no other context regarding that game. And I imagine nobody else in here watched either.
Well, this is what
Jacob's a hockey guy.
I watched until I fell asleep.
Yeah, that's about right.
This is
that
what
makes sense.
Stinks about the summer championships, the NHL and the NBA. Their playoffs are 2 months long, and both of them are going to end in a sweep or a 5-game series. So it's like you get no payoff. It's like watching a show for an entire season, and then they just don't stick the landing. You know what show always does that? American Horror Story. I don't know if any American Horror Story fans are here, but they set you up for this beautiful, beautiful show ending and they never stick it. So that's what the
tough.
NBA playoffs are.
No Reds baseball yesterday, but there was some news, a little bit of news. Blake Dunn, his time as a Red is over for now. They sent back down to AAA. And the assumption is Nick Martini will make his return to the team for the weekend series against the Brewers. That's the assumption. No move has been made yet. I'm sure that'll come today. I'm not mad that Nick Martini's coming up. I think he gives a little bit of pop off the bench, but I will say I don't think he's been very good as a Cincinnati Red. And the issue is I feel like that 26th man all season long for the Reds, and I'm pretty sure that's how it is with everybody, with every team in the league. Maybe not as bad as it's been for the Reds this season, but that 26th man just hasn't been very productive.
The 26th man for a reason.
Correct. Blake Dunn was hitting like 111. Nick Martini doesn't hit very well. Mike Ford was bad. So it's just
Connor Capel was a thing.
Connor Capel played a day, and you had our boy, our hero. I forget his name. Bubba. God, I forget it.
How do you forget Bubba?
He has a 263
World
OBP
Series champion.
in Double-A. He is a World Series champion. Allegedly.
Is Blake Dunn the best Dunn to ever play for the Reds?
Good
Best
question.
lefty Dunn, probably.
Probably. Gotta be.
Best, yeah.
So if Adam Dunn was the big donkey, was Blake Dunn the little donkey?
Or is it just the donkey?
Or is he Dominic the donkey?
He's
Hee-haw.
Around the league, the Braves, they beat the Orioles 6-3. Ozzie albies went 4 for 5 with 2 doubles. The Tigers, they took care of the Nationals 7-2. How about that, Jim? Good for you.
We won.
What's it like to win a game against a team that's not very good?
Yeah, it's a team that's not very good. It felt good to see one go through the hoop. We got school ball today, so
That's a win.
I was telling Jacob before the show, when school ball pitches, I'm like excited to watch the game because I think that there's a pretty good chance that we win. It's on the road in Houston, so it could be tough. You never know with them this year, but it feels a lot better waking up and knowing that school ball is going to be on the mound versus Kenta Maeda or Casey Mize, but it's exciting.
Casey Mize had a good game last night.
He pitched well yesterday.
The Royals, they beat the Yankees 4-3 to avoid a 4-game sweep. Nestor Cortes went 7 innings and only gave up 2 earned runs. Alec Marsh also went 7 innings and gave up 1 hit while giving up 0 runs. Cardinals, they beat the Pirates 4-3. Goldschmidt and Donovan both hit a pair of home runs. The Cubs lose yet again to the Rays 3-2. Taj Bradley tied his career high with 11 strikeouts as the Rays scored all 3 runs in the 7th inning to come back against the Cubs.
The Cubs blew a lead on the first game of the series in the 9th. They blew a lead yesterday in the 7th and tried to blow one 2 days ago in the 9th.
At least you're good at something.
Well, yeah, man, and it's easy. Everyone wants to smash the relief pitching, which isn't good. Don't get it wrong. It's not good, but it's very easy to give up 1-run leads when you only score a run. Like when you're scoring 8 runs, it's hard to blow those leads.
Yeah.
Although the Cubs did that too this year.
I took the under, by the way, so that hit.
Good for you.
Thank you, Jacob.
Always.
The Mets defeated the Marlins 3-2. Red Sox blew out the Phillies 9-3. Athletics, they have lost now 6 in a row after falling to the Twins yesterday 6-2. The Angels, they got destroyed by the Diamondbacks 11-1. Christian Walker hit a pair of home runs, 2 home runs in that blowout. White Sox, finally, they win a game against the Mariners 3-2. Garrett Crochet weaved a gem, 13 strikeouts in 7 innings.
Only 1 off-speed pitch. All cutters and four-seam fastballs.
How about that?
Where are we guessing Garrett Crochet pitches in August?
Somewhere else.
I feel like
seems
the
like a
Orioles.
Yankee.
I feel like the Orioles.
Seems like a Yankee
Would he
to
get
me.
the
With
Orioles?
their starting pitching problems with injuries and stuff and their farm system, it's probably the best offer the White Sox can get.
Ellie for Garrett Crochet straight up. Seems like a winning move.
It doesn't seem like a winning move.
Pitching wins.
Huh?
Pitching wins.
It does. Rangers, they got the better of the Dodgers 3-1. Michael Lorenzen, our good friend, tossed 7 innings of 4-hit baseball.
Mikey Biceps.
Mikey Biceps. He wanted to be a starting pitcher, Jacob, and the Reds said, nah, not on our watch.
Actually,
You
can
play
go away.
left field.
You can go away.
he made the All-Star game as a starting pitcher for the Detroit Tigers
How about that?
last year.
That's right. Good for him.
Pity All-Star.
He's done.
He was a pity all-star.
He threw a no-hitter last year, right?
Well, yeah, that was.
Yeah, for the Phillies.
That's right. He got traded to the Phil. All the Reds wanted them to get Michael Lorenzen, familiar face. And
Of course.
He goes to Philadelphia, and I think in his first start throws a no-hitter. His stats for the Phillies last year, in 11 games, he had a 5.6 ERA.
Do the Reds fans love anything more than getting a player who's kind of okay that played here before in their career?
No, that's
That's how every sport works.
I guess that's true.
Like we're talking about in the Bengals, like, hey, we're gonna get Hayden Hurst. We're gonna get Samaje Perine. Just bring everyone back.
As soon as they leave, you just attach yourself to the fond memories and forget all the bad things.
Right.
Bronson Arroyo, when I remember his return, I think he was bad with us after he came back. I don't remember too much of those seasons. But Bronson Arroyo came back, and that was obviously
Had a
big deal.
7.35 in his lone return to the Reds.
Yeah, I didn't think it was good. Moving on. We have NHL. The Panthers now lead 3-0 after defeating the Oilers 4-3, and now nobody cares. So it's just a bad series. Bad series on both sides, like Reed said. 2 sweeps. I don't know. It doesn't get worse than that.
Think about how electric it would have been with the Stars and the Rangers.
It would have been electric.
It would have been
Think
great.
about all the content we'd have had here on Off the Bench as me and Jacob just duke it out every single day.
It would have been incredible. Yeah.
But
What a
got
shame.
sweep.
What a shame.
A big shame. U.S. Open leaderboard. Patrick Cantlay, 5 under par at Pinehurst. He leads the pack. Ludwig Oberg is second at 4 under par. Rory McIlroy is 3 under par and in third place. I'm not going to lie. The course is winning.
Big time.
I saw a clip today.
You guys love it.
Love it.
I
guys eat that up.
saw a clip today. I don't know which golfer it was. Stuck it within about 7 feet of the pin.
This close.
Yeah, and it rolled straight off the green.
Into the fairway.
So I listen. I don't know, like is that considered?
Sounds like you didn't stick it.
Is that a Mickey Mouse course?
Pinehurst?
Yeah,
No.
Mickey Mouse. A Mickey Mouse course being like
Mickey Mouse course is Valhalla.
Okay, so that's the Mickey Mouse course. Well, I'm just saying this
Define
course.
Mickey Mouse course.
That's what I'm trying
Champion
to-
has a -20.
No,
Mickey
but
Mouse
see,
course.
I think Mickey Mouse course could be anything that's not the normal. I think it's not normal.
Well, they are professional golfers, so they do shoot fairly under pretty often. But
Thanks.
like Valhalla
Thanks,
was,
Jimmy.
But
Jim,
Appreciate that.
what's not the normal then?
Jim, that was good.
like weird holes. Like when I think of Mickey Mouse course, I think of like a Pebble Creek here in Coleraine where you're just hitting weird shots all the time. Like
Yeah.
It's not just up and down. Like you're
When I
hitting
think
weird
Mickey
shots.
Mouse in sports, it's like less than the regular. Like Mickey Mouse championship for the Dodgers in a 60
Like
game
Great
season.
American
Like,
Ballpark is a Mickey Mouse baseball field.
So it's easier.
The Cubs are a Mickey Mouse team because they have a brick wall in their outfield. So, you know.
I think I agree with that definition. It's easier.
See, do you think LeBron's was a Mickey Mouse ring? 'Cause
Of course
Of
not.
course.
I don't. But the
It's
Dodgers.
the hardest championship to ever win ever.
That is a Mickey Mouse ring because he won it in Walt Disney World. No? Isn't that where it was?
Literally where
Sure,
That's where
but
this all
like
came from.
That's true.
LeBron's wasn't Mickey Mouse
The
because
hardest-
it was super hard to win, but the Dodgers,
Dodgers,
Mickey Mouse.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree
He
more.
won it at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's where this whole
Which makes it harder. He wasn't even able to win it in LA.
He couldn't be with his family.
He was forced
He's a
to be
family
there.
man.
What are you guys telling me right now? Like, what is
He was-
going
the
on?
definition Mickey Mouse like challenge tournament whatever cup came from that game that LeBron won in
No,
Disney.
agree to
That's-
disagree.
That's
but-
not true.
yeah, but his
We've been
season-
saying Mickey Mouse for a
For a
while.
long
That's where
time.
that's where it got more popular. That's
His
where
season was
everyone
forced
started
to be
using
on
it.
pause. How
At
hard do you
age
think that is
37?
mentally?
We need the etymology.
And he put his
of-
head down
of
and
Mickey
powered
Mouse
through.
sporting.
This is a Mickey Mouse segment. The WNBA, the Fever, they won a game.
Woo!
Did you watch any of that, boys?
No.
No, but Caitlin Clark said she's only here to play basketball, nothing else.
That's
Did
right.
see a funny
Well,
tweet
good for her.
yesterday.
Based on what I've
Yes, we
learned,
did.
based on what I've learned from Aaron Rodgers, that if Caitlin Clark says that she's only here to play basketball, she will miss a week of activities.
Probably. WNBA viewership at highest it's ever been. They're still pacing to lose $5 billion this year.
Oh, darn it.
Billion?
I think 50,
Million.
Million?
I think it's
Million?
50
5 million?
I think it's
50
50
million.
million.
50 million.
50 million, even more.
It's a
You
lot of
almost
money.
got that number
Not
right.
quite as bad as 5 billion.
50 million is worse than 5 billion. That's true.
That's a lot of money.
They take
That is a
care,
lot of money.
They take care of the Dream. Don't know where they play. 91-84. Caitlin Clark scored 7 points on 3 of 11 shooting. UFC, I was told to put this in here. I don't care about it, but I'm going to put it in anyway.
It's a big deal.
Conor McGregor pulls out of UFC 303 with an injury. Jacob, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a shame. McGregor versus Chandler was a highly anticipated fight. McGregor was returning from the broken leg. Pulled out. It's replaced by Yuri Prochazka, Alex Pereira 2. So light heavyweight rematch for the two of them. Yuri just won his last fight, so it should be a good one. Not quite as exciting as McGregor, though.
Is that still behind a paywall? Is that on the ESPN Plus?
Oh, yeah.
Have you watched
You
that?
gotta-
Okay.
It's like
Pay-per-view.
$80, $90 pay-per-view.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then finally, NFL. Trevor Lawrence, he signed a $275 million contract extension. We will talk about that and a whole lot more on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We are Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We'll be right back. And welcome on in. We are Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports. Welcome on in if you're listening to the radio. If you're watching on YouTube right now, thank you very, very, very much. We were going over things to talk about today. This is the part of the sporting calendar, just nothing happens. And that's unfortunate. Baseball's right now, I would call it in the dead period, where it's like you don't really care about every game anymore. We're at the point where we're just trying to like coast a little bit, if that makes sense. You can't lose games. I'm going to start complaining if the Reds lose a lot of games. But as long as they're playing 500 baseball, I'm not freaking out or anything like that. So it's just like, this is just go outside. This is a go outside time of
Correct.
year.
This is why they purposefully have the calendar like this, is because this is where you go do stuff in your real life. During the winter is when we need sports. During the fall is when we need sports. We don't need sports right now.
I would love sports right now.
We got baseball. That's why people don't go to games in Florida. They've got other things to do.
That's
That's
fair.
why people don't go to games in LA. They've got other things to do.
Why don't they go to games in Cincinnati?
Because of inflation and because the baseball team's not very good.
Gas prices. I didn't mention this in the headlines. This is sort of big news. With a deal that could be worth $30 to $50 million annually, the conference would split the revenue among the 16 members. We were talking about the Big 12, and All-State is going to be the new name of the conference. It'll be the All-State 12 or the Big All-State Conference.
You got to go Big All-State, right?
I don't think you can go Big All-State. I think people would laugh at you if you go by Big All-State. I think
All-State 12 is just as funny.
I think the All-State
Big X the plug 12.
I think the All-State 12 is fine, and you just roll with that. But yeah, it looks like college conferences are now selling their soul to the man. They're selling it for $50 million.
SEC needs to get on the horn with Waffle House.
The Waffle House Conference.
That'd be pretty
my
good.
God.
Elliot's never been to No, you've been to one Waffle House.
One.
One Waffle House. You didn't enjoy it.
FanDuel
was
Big
fine.
12.
It was Southern Hibachi.
Waffle House below the Mason-Dixon is just exponentially better.
I mean, listen, I'll never go back, but it was a great time, I guess.
There's no Waffle Houses in Michigan, which is tough for
Really?
the beautiful state
It
of
is
Michigan.
disappointing. No Waffle Houses in Michigan.
That's a shame.
Tough for
Waffle
the
House.
beautiful-
I didn't even know they had
Yes.
them like this north in Ohio.
Oh, we got them.
We've got a ton.
I know.
Listen, if you like UFC, you should go to a Waffle House at 2 in the morning. You will see a fight. You will see something crazy going on like that. What is your guys' thoughts on selling naming rights to a conference? Conference selling naming rights to a corporation.
I really don't care.
I care a little bit. I think it's a little bit of a joke, and especially with the new age of college athletics, players getting paid, coaches ignoring contracts. Maybe that's always been a part of it. But saying all that, I wanted to keep a little bit of the college environment, and that includes the conference names. I'd like to be part of the Big 12. I like to be a part of the SEC, the Big 10. Now you're changing that for corporate sponsorships, just like all those bowl games. I don't know. I think I'm against it. I know they're going to do it, and it's inevitable, and that's how the world works today. You're just trying to make some money. But at the end of the day, being a part of the All-State 12 is nonsensical. And how do you even put that on a patch? You're a part of the All-State 12?
I think it would just be the All-State logo, if I'm being honest.
And what's the champion? Who
And
sponsors?
is it the All-State 12? Is that what they're going to call?
Either the All-State 12 or the Big
Big
All-State.
or the Big All-State?
Okay, well,
The Big All-State.
Big
So
All-State's
this is-
way
this is
better.
This is my opinion on the whole thing, and people are gonna say like, "Oh, this is ridiculous, corporate sponsorship. Like, what happened to the old names? Like, when have conference names meant anything?
They matter. Come on.
Before the
matter.
first
The
realignment.
Big Ten has 16 teams.
Right.
The number of teams is irrelevant, but you still call it what it's called. The SEC.
In
That's
three,
the
in
point.
3 years,
If
the
you're-
All-State Conference will just be normal. And
Right,
all
like,
the sponsorships will be normal.
That's the point. Is like the names don't matter already. Like they associate a number. This is how many teams. There's 10 big teams in this conference. Oh, there's 16. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry.
So why stop there? When will the NFL start sponsoring divisions?
Pretty soon, probably.
Probably soon.
There's sponsorships for every single individual round of the playoffs.
Yeah, but
But yeah, but
at
it's still
some point it becomes a joke, right?
it's still called the wild card in the divisional round. It's not.
Yeah, presented by Intuit TurboTax.
Yeah, presented by. If you were
Yeah,
the Big 12
presented by
conference,
is-
presented by Allstate, I'd get
Right.
it.
I
That's
don't really
different.
think there's a difference there.
I
do.
think there's a major
I do.
difference.
Yeah, I don't. Well, you're not even in a conference, so I
Right.
don't think you can comment.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm in a rough spot right now with college football. I think the fact that everything is now for money and it feels like a minor league to the NFL.
Well, that's where it's going. It's
and
just like,
NIL.
This will
and-
protect
I don't
the
know, it's
conferences
just-
from combining into two big ones.
when it comes to these names, like what do
Like-
the ACC outside of football? Notre Dame plays in the ACC. Nothing says the Atlantic Coast like South Bend, Indiana.
What about Cal and SMU who are in the ACC now?
Right, it's like-
Dallas and Cali,
Right, like,
like
what are we-
Southern
what are we
California
talking
are in the
about?
Atlantic Coast.
But you still know what the conference is. When you change your conference name every 5 years, that's not what this is supposed to be.
You're gonna forget what the conference is when you see
Yes,
UC
yes,
UC
yes,
play UCF. You
yes.
don't know what conference it is.
It's all-
when you see
all
Alabama
state-
versus
Correct.
Georgia, you're gonna
The
be like,
all-state
oh, I wonder what
this is
conference
the all-
that is.
this is
What are
the
you
all-
talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking
The
about?
same logo is going to exist. The XII is still the logo.
The All-State Conference, and then in 5 years it's going to be the GoDaddy Conference, and then in 5 years after that, it's just like
Who cares?
I,
Who cares?
I care. I care.
You're gonna forget who's playing? Like I don't understand what you're saying.
How does
Like-
it affect the meaningfulness of the game?
Right, like when
It doesn't-
Georgia and Alabama are playing, I know they're in the same conference. I don't care what it's called. I just know that they're playing a conference game. Like,
When the Bengals and the Steelers play in the cricket conference, it's going to be tough. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
that means even less to me. Like at least
Yeah, I don't
because
care about
the NFL
AFC, NFC at all.
Right, like we want to call it the AFC North, sponsored by Nextel Sprint. Like
Again, if you called it the AFC North presented by, I'm fine with it.
I agree.
But you're changing the name of a conference. You're changing the name of.
The
but when
conferences
the
don't
Bengals
matter
play
anyway.
the Steelers-
Why not call? Well, let's just change the names of schools too then. We'll call the University of Cincinnati All-State School, and then it just never ends. It literally will never end.
Changing the name of teams and changing the name of meaningless names of
Right.
conferences is drastically different.
right.
I don't think it is that different, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you want to change the name of bowls, if you want to say presented by, all of that's fine.
Well, the bowl games are already just.
They are
I
not.
know they are. I know they are. I'm saying that's fine. I'm saying if you change the name of you think the Big Ten fan base, everybody's gonna be like, okay, we like being called the GoDaddy Bowl.
I
We're
do
the
not
GoDaddy
think college
Conference.
football fans care about this at all.
That's crazy. That's
At all.
crazy to me.
I think that it's so much is changing so fast that people are starting to get annoyed with it, like Elliot and I. But I don't really think it matters that much, like in the grand scheme of things. So I understand what you guys are saying. Like it's just going to become normal. But so much is changing so fast that it feels like we're losing so much of what college football, like the nostalgia of
The
what college
12-team
football used to
playoff
be.
took more away from the foundation of college football than changing the name of a conference does.
Yeah, I like the conference.
Yes.
These conference
Like-
and divisions mean like you're arguing about like the NFL. I could care less what they're called.
Right.
You can name it after former players. Like I wouldn't even care. Like seriously, yesterday I said Big Ben was my second most hated athlete ever.
We played in the Roethlisberger
If you wanted to
division?
call it in the Roethlisberger division, that means nothing to me. Like I don't care.
Right.
Like I don't care.
I agree.
Like whatever. It doesn't matter
I think
anything.
you do. I think you do care.
Not
If you
one
want to,
bit.
if you want to call the NL Central the Johnny Bench division,
If the,
don't
I
care,
know
even
who
though
the
he never
teams
played in the
are.
NL
Like when the
Central.
Bengals play the Browns, I know what they're playing for.
right,
I don't care what it's called.
right.
I disagree.
Like I'm not like wondering. I'm not like sitting here like, oh, Missouri's playing Kentucky. What conference is that again? Like that doesn't mean anything to me.
The only way I can understand Elliot's argument is if this is changing every other year.
Yeah.
That will get annoying.
Correct.
Because if I say it's the GoDaddy
it
conference
will,
and then
though.
it
Well,
changes
they'll sign
to
a
the
5 or
All-State
10-year
Conference.
contract.
It'll be
Yeah,
every
but
it'll be every
that's the
5
point.
years that conference name will change.
And then imagine once gambling starts taking over. It's like the
I was
DraftKings, the
saving
FanDuel.
that one in the holster, Jimmy. I was gonna say,
It's
what
gonna
is
happen.
Elliot gonna think when they call it the DraftKings 10?
It's gonna happen.
I hope it does. I hope every school, every sports team is sponsored by gambling apps. That's my
Well,
dream.
college teams will have logos on their jerseys starting in, I think, 2 years.
That's gonna.
Like sponsorship logos. Again, don't care.
That I don't care about either. It's just.
I
sil-
care about that.
You win, so
I think that's worse than renaming the conference, and I still don't care.
I don't. That's fine.
Jerseys mean more, like, jerseys and history of uniforms means more to the sport than the name of the conference.
That's fair.
this
I
is-
agree with that.
See, this is where I've made this point many a times before. When it comes to change in anything, I don't really push back ever because all the good things that we've ever had in life are from change. So I'm okay with it just continuing to change. Like
Sure.
I'm okay. What's the old quote? The only constant in life is change.
Change.
Right. Like that's just it's okay. Like everything will be okay. The sport will be continue to play. We'll still like it. We'll still like it for new reasons. We'll still like it for old reasons. It'll all be okay.
I hope they start changing team names for sponsorships. That's what I want because of this. I want to be, instead of the Cincinnati Reds, I want to be the Cincinnati
That will happen,
Gorilla
by the way.
Glues. I want that.
By
I
the
want
way,
that. And then we
actually win
change
something.
team names every 5 years, and the merch doesn't matter because you're not really celebrating a team. You're celebrating sponsorships. That's what this is.
I have an
Sponsorship names, I could just root for a city across everything. That'd be nice.
Elliot, if you don't want this to happen, I have an economic system for you.
Stop buying stuff.
I have an economic system for you. You're gonna love it.
I'm not against.
No one knows my opinions.
I'm not against capitalism, but this is
Sounds like you are.
this is a little bit silly.
I do think that if they start putting patches on the Notre Dame football jersey, all the old heads who are huge Notre Dame fans and go to the games and sit down the entire time and get mad at people for standing up, I think they're going to be a little bit mad because it's tainting history.
Until you get a 5-star quarterback with
so
that
this
$1 million.
is-
We don't get those anyways.
Well,
so.
you might.
So that's where it's like up to Notre Dame to like if they care about it, and if their fans care about it and they know they're going to catch backlash from it, that's where they've got to make the decision. Like, all right,
Which they have shown to do.
it would be hilarious if you got a Sherwin-Williams logo right on the side of the Golden Domes and be like, "This gold is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams."
I mean,
yeah.
Yankees fans said they would never do ads on their jerseys for the first 2 years of them, and now they're sponsored by some Star Insurance Group or something like that. So everyone will cave at some point. It's all about money. It's all about making your team better. And if you can get sponsorships to get more money to your, NIL and more money to your school, then you'll get a better roster and you'll have a better chance to win. So yeah, I really don't have a problem with it. This will help UC win. They'll get a share of that 30 to 50 million, and they'll go straight to their NIL and get a better roster. So
I guess to each their own.
if they think about if they would have done this years ago, you could have gotten Dion.
probably. I mean,
Could
he
have
wanted
paid
to
a little
be
more
here.
money. That is true. He did want to be here.
Yeah, and he would have tanked our program too. So listen. I don't like. It's just like when you Is it really?
Yeah.
What do we call that when it's raining when the sun's out?
Oh, you know what we call it.
Ha!
Do I know it?
The devil's beating his wife. That's
what he's
that's
doing.
what I've always
Devil's
heard.
beating his wife.
When the sun's out. Tell me if you guys have ever heard that before. But
That can't just be us.
I did not invent that.
I didn't know it wasn't a general thing.
I
I
had
just
never
thought that
heard
was
that
what it was
before.
called.
I've never heard it my entire life. Either way, I just think like when you have the patch, the Big 12 conference patch on you, and it's not the Big 12 patch anymore. It just changes nonstop, and you hoist up the Big 12 trophy, and it's not the Big 12 trophy. It's
gonna
just
be the same
It's
trophies.
the Pop-Tart thing.
What if they held up like an
They said it's gonna
insurance
be the
card?
same
What if
trophies and the same
that's the
logo.
new Big 12? It's just one insurance card. It's like this is what we got. You get UC Scott Satterfield, and they're just holding up a little 3x2 insurance card. That's their trophy.
That's the ceremony. They
be
put
nice.
it in their wallet.
That one in the Ohio Cup. Bring them to Cincinnati.
That'd be a great bit. I hope they do it. I hope they do it all.
Breaking news.
Breaking news?
Sepp Straka just hit a hole-in-one.
Is that breaking news?
See, Jim.
Hole-in-ones are awesome.
You got to get better at what's breaking
What's
news.
his score, Jim? For the day.
If he's not
If
top
he's
10,
if he's not under par, I swear to God, you're off the show for the rest of the week.
what's he at?
The rest of the week? I don't know. I got to look.
Is there a worse tradition in sports than if you get a hole-in-one, you buy others drinks?
Oh, I love that.
That's the worst thing
No,
I
in the
think
world.
it's a great tradition.
I feel like everyone should be buying you drinks if you had a hole-in-one.
Yes!
No, you
Come
already used your good luck.
At Kenwood, you remember at Kenwood, do they have hole-in-one insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother pays
Yeah.
for hole-in-one insurance too.
Yeah. Does he
what?
have a bunch of them?
Hole-in-one insurance.
Yeah,
is
protects your
that?
tabs.
So
for
like
if you hit a
the
hole-in-one.
rule is when you like you know the rule, if you hit a hole-in-one, you buy everyone drinks, right? Do you know that rule?
I did not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
so
everyone
there's a
at
tradition-
the course or whatever, a lot of times they'll come in, and when you're done with your round, and you have to buy everyone in the bar drinks.
So like
What?
if you're playing a foursome, if you're just playing at a public course and you hit a hole-in-one, the tradition is that you buy everyone drinks. Makes no sense, right? People should be buying you drinks. But that's how it is. You buy everyone drinks for the day. At clubs, if someone gets a hole-in-one, the club drinks for free for the day.
Really?
Yeah.
So to protect themselves, the players, when you join a club, like my brother has to buy insurance in case he ever hits a hole-in-one. And then like people, like if you live on Kenwood, they'll hear, hey, so-and-so, Elliot Rearing hit a hole-in-one on number 12
You just
today.
go
and
up.
everyone just goes to the bar because they get a drink for free that
So
day.
that's just a sucker bet. I mean, that's how much money does that cost?
A lot.
Hole-in-one insurance costs how much?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what it costs.
I don't
Like,
know what it
what
costs.
is-
But your
If
tab's
it's
gonna be over $1,000, easily over
Easy.
$1,000. Isn't that the worst tradition in sports?
that
If
is
you get a hole-
that is horrible.
You hit
That
a
is
hole-in-one,
horrible.
You hit a hole-in-one, you buy everyone drinks.
I thought you guys were just talking. You were buying like the three people in your foursome drinks.
Well, that's like
If you're public
If
or-
you're
yeah.
playing just around, that's how it goes. Actually, my friend hit a hole-in-one on a par 4 at Potters, number 10, and they went to a bar in Ross, Big Bulls, and like all my friends were texting me like, "Hey, Max hit a hole-in-one. We all got to be there." So we all went out to Big Bulls, and he had to buy us drinks. It's just the tradition.
That's outrageous.
Nate with a detrimental update for Jimmy.
It's +2.
Sepp struck a +2 after the hole-in-one.
Oh, Jim.
That's better than Scotty.
Yeah, we already assessed Scotty's bad at golf.
Is that the metric? Are you winning the tournament? No, but I'm beating Scotty.
Honestly,
Honestly,
I think that plays.
That's the metric. We'll talk. Listen, Brian B. He's just going off on us now. I don't know, Brian B. I don't know what's going on with Brian B. in the chat.
Everyone check in on your local Brian B.
Yeah, please.
It's important.
He's just saying everybody's woke. Listen,
I am not woke.
we will be right back. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We're going to take a short break. Welcome back in. We are Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. I am Elliot Rearing. Reed Mouse is to my right. We have Casey McAllister running the keys over there. I have Jacob Tissett to my left. And we have Jims. Jims, how you doing over there?
I'm doing well.
How's Sepp Straka?
+2.
Yeah, thanks for that update. Any more breaking news? What's Phil Mickelson today?
Don't know. Very high though.
Plus 400. To end that contract or to end the conference thing, I in the end, sure. In 5 years, will I probably care about this issue? No, probably not. But for right now, I do think it's going to look silly and be silly until I get used to it. As Reed says, when change happens, you give it time, and then you eventually like it. I don't think I'll ever like this, but I'll just be okay with
They
it.
did say logos and trophies are going to stay the same, just
Okay.
for that. Like that, the Big 12 logo might be blue and white now on all jerseys instead of being team colors, but it'll still be the XII. And then they're just going to put the All-State hands on the current conference trophies. So that at least saves a little bit of it.
That's fair.
Change is okay.
Change is okay.
You'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
I promise.
Yeah,
I promise you'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
But if we didn't freak out about every time something changed, then what do we have in life? What do we have in life?
If we didn't talk about that for 15 minutes, what would the show be doing? So
Well, you want to dive into Palestine?
let's do it. Next radio break.
Yeah, please. Brian B., he says, what did he say? Elliot, I have contacted Luke Maley, and he will escort you out of GABP the next time you enter. I think somebody might have to escort him out if he keeps that batting average and OBP below the Mendoza line. But to each their own. PB says breaking news as well in there. I can't wait to see what that breaking news is.
I'm sure it's breaking.
Somebody get a bogey?
Why you getting on my boy Jimmy breaking news?
It's cool. It's cool.
I'm not getting on him.
I mean, Jimmy Breakin thinks 2 over is breaking news.
He hit a hole-in-one. What's wrong with that? Have you ever done that?
How many times?
No, if I did, it'd be breaking news. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, it would be breaking.
Right.
You guys,
It'd be
how
breaking news.
close have you guys gotten?
Never.
I've gotten on the green on a par 3, but not
I mean,
close.
yeah. If that's
You ever
the
gotten
metric.
close?
That's good, Jim. Yeah, I have been with about less than a foot. It's 6 inches. I've been
Yeah.
6 inches away.
This is one of my favorite stories. Is my dad used to be the superintendent here at Potters, and when I was a kid, he would just drop me off.
Yeah.
And he would just like, hey, I'm gonna go cut a couple fairways. Will you just stay out of people's way? You can play however you want, but if someone comes up, just get out of the way. And I was playing number 5. If you've been in the Potters, it's a par 3, obviously. And I was like 10. I hit a driver from the white tees, and it just trickles right on up. I'm playing by myself at 10 years old, and the ball was this far from the hole. And I actually remember being 10 years old thinking, I'm glad that didn't go in, because if that went in, no one's going to believe me.
Not a chance.
I mean, I'm just going to go up to my dad. Hey, Dad, hey, Reed, how'd you hit him today? Hit a hole-in-one on number 5. Okay, son. Just that was that. Thank God. If I get one hole-in-one in my life, I'm glad it wasn't by myself at 10 years old.
My friend hit a hole-in-one. It was, if you know the west side of Cincinnati, you might know Newman Golf Course. It was on one of the par 3s, obviously, and the next hole, he decided to keep his golf ball in play. He's going to tee it off after he hit his hole-in-one.
No.
The drive immediately following the hole-in-one, the ball was sent straight into the woods.
No.
Hole-in-one, gone.
Wow.
He kept the club, he said.
I don't think it counts anymore.
I don't think it counts.
If you
I don't
don't
think
have
it
the
should
ball, it
count
doesn't
either.
count.
I don't think it should count because that's outrageous.
That is crazy.
If I had a hole-in-one ball, I might leave the course.
If I hit a hole-in-one, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, I think I am too, and we'll just listen to music and hang out. I don't care how much I paid for that round. It's over, and we're just there to have fun and smile.
Speaking of losing
For sure.
balls, I think my only goal when it comes to golf is like I don't care like what I ever like average scoring wise. I want to get to a point where I play with a one ball round.
That'd be nice.
That would.
That'd be
I mean,
nice.
I think everything would fall into place after that. If I could go out there with a sleeve,
Yeah.
3 balls, and know I'm walking away with one of them still in the sleeve, still intact, it's a good round.
I've been better at not losing golf balls lately. If there's water, I'm going to lose golf balls. But if there's no water and it's just wooded area, I usually am able to find it. So I'm happy. I'm playing in a golf outing tomorrow.
Very nice.
I'm very happy. The issue
hot out
is
there.
it's going to, well, we're playing early, real early. I don't know. It is at Aston Oaks. Again, if you know the course, whatever. If you don't, it's a long round. It's probably going to be a 7-hour outing based on how that course plays. So I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous for it because I don't want to be there all day
Playing
in
at
the
7, you
burning
said?
sun. I'm playing. Oh yeah,
My dad
brutal.
My dad used to play in a golf league that played on Saturday mornings, and he needed me to fill in one day. And this was during COVID, so wasn't working. Out late with my friends every Friday or hanging out with my friends, and it was 6:30 tee time. I show up, groggy as whatever,
Yeah.
cloud over my head. I could barely think. My dad did not tell me that I was playing with former MLB manager Jim Tracy.
Oh my God.
Just didn't tell me. He's a baiting guy. He's from Hamilton. Just didn't tell me that he was going to be in my foursome. I mean, I beat it around. And like hole 5 comes around and Jim Tracy looks at me and goes, Reed, never played with you, son. But you can't possibly be this bad of a golfer. And I was like, yeah, I'm playing pretty bad right now. On the front 9, I shot like a 57. Back 9 at Potters, 35.
How about that?
That's how it's done.
35.
That's how it's
about
done.
Won
that?
some money.
Yeah, that's big. Golf outings or whatever to me, but I'll tell you what. I can't play with strangers. If you pair me up with a
I hate
stranger,
it.
can't
I
do it.
love
So if
that.
I showed up and I was with a stranger, nah, I might as well legitimately not play. I'll keep the bat. I'll keep the clubs in the cart, and we'll just ride around all day.
I get so mad when I show up. Like if me and my dad will get a tee time at a golf course, and you'll show up, and there will be a twosome in front of you, and I get mad at the golf course. Like, hey, pair us up. This is taking way too long. Like we should be playing as a foursome.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to twosome. Like pair us all up. Let's keep this rolling.
I disagree. In fact, I lie when I make tee times, and I
I say I have 4.
Yeah, I say I have 4
If I have
every
3, I
single
say I
time.
have
Oh, I like getting paired up with people, and it's not because I don't like necessarily meeting people. I just like keeping the game rolling.
You just like telling other people how bad they are at golf because they don't shoot an 84.
Not true. I just like keeping the game going. I just like I don't like the course being slowed down.
That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean that's fair. Whatever. Jim, final golf update. We got any final golf updates?
Breaking
over
news?
Scotty Scheffler has 0 bogeys in the last 12 holes.
There you go.
Nice.
There we
Good
go.
for him.
Wow.
It's a stat.
Good for the best golfer in the world.
That's pretty incredible.
What's better, that or a hole in one?
I think that stat was better.
I think that stat was way better. By the way, Everett wants in the chat wants to know what is the par at the back 9 of Potters?
33.
33.
Yeah, it's 36 front, 33 back. There's no par 5s on the back.
I see.
It's very easy.
Very easy.
Every par 4 is drivable. I think the longest one's 315.
I didn't play that one, right?
Oh no, the front 9 kind of gets after you.
Back 9's easy.
Back 9.
Right before we came, I was playing with my friends. It was like our last time playing before a couple of us left for internships, and it was this par 4, like I think about 315, and these guys were on the green, and I was like, oh, we're good. And my friends drive and like fine shots, and these guys are still on the green, and I go up, and I'm like, oh, no chance I get them. Drive, perfect drive, bounces right up on the green, and all these guys are standing right here, and you just see them all run in the other direction. 'Cause
right
I
on the
almost hit
shin.
'em.
Just hit them right in the shin.
And yeah, and I get to the next hole, and they're still driving, and I was like, oh, sorry guys, like I really didn't know I had that in me. And they were like, it's okay.
See, that's where I'm a bad golfer, is because if I get so embarrassed when I wait for people to get off the green
And then don't get it
and
there.
then like hit it like 15 yards to where I know I can hit a green and I'm like, I can't get it there. And it like subconsciously makes me hit the ball better, and then I hit into crowds a lot.
I do that too. I play better, or I hit better shots when I know like there's something at risk. Like if I know like I'm not gonna hit those guys in front of us. I'll rip a drive. I'll rip a 5-iron. But it is interesting how that works. Would you rather have somebody play up like they're rushing you behind you, or would you rather play slow? Have somebody in front of you that's just terribly slow?
See, I am such a patient person.
Yeah.
And I know I just said that like I like speeding up the course and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
not for my own benefit. That's just I think it's better for everyone because I know other people get. It doesn't bother me either way. I think I'd rather let someone push on me because I'll just let them go. Like I don't mind letting you go if you're playing a lot faster.
I pick slow every single time because if I'm playing 18 holes, I already have 4 hours chunked out of my day. What's a fifth hour? Like that's the way I look at it. I really don't mind playing slow. Now I play with some people that play very slow, and we have 5.5 to 6 hour golf rounds, and that's when it's like, all right, I legit can't be out here. But usually I'm okay with the slow.
I can't do slow.
One of the first things that I realized playing with Trace and Sean is that when I first started working with them, I play golf much differently than I think most people play golf. Trace and Sean, they would if they're in the cart together, one hits their shot and they drive up to the ball wherever it is.
Yeah.
And the next guy hits his shot and they talk to each other. They sit in the car. How my family plays is like, hey, I'm gonna drive to whichever ball's the easiest to drive to, and then you got to walk to the other ball and you got to be ready. Like he's gonna hit, I'm gonna hit. I'll come pick you up, and we play very quick.
This golf outing that I'm playing at tomorrow, we're gonna be playing with 8 people at a time. Are you pro that or anti?
Well, that just prevents cheating.
Correct, but I think that's gonna take way longer than if we just did 4-4.
I don't know. There's an outing that plays at Potter's that's literally all like there's no prizes other than money. Like it costs like a shit ton of money, crap ton of money to get into it, and
damn.
Yeah, can't say that
Casey.
one. You can't say that one on the radio, can you?
Casey,
Killer.
that just ruined everybody's day. I mean, that was devastating what you just did.
I'm sorry.
That was Jimmy. We're gonna have to actually write that down. That is the third segment.
10:46, right at the end of the break, right by the break.
So it's with 3 minutes to go in this segment. Reed says the S word.
We'll just cut it right then, and there'll be no send off.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Some courses have clocks. There are courses who will check up on you constantly.
Kenwood does.
Yeah, that's terrible to me. Especially if I know I'm playing fast and you're still doing it, that's when I get really upset.
Yeah.
Like if the person behind me isn't close to me and I'm just cruising through the course and I'm still getting yelled at for not playing fast enough, I'll get upset. I'll make a scene.
It seems like you play slow. That's what I'm getting at.
Seems like it. Yeah.
I don't play slow if I'm with my friends. If I'm with my grandpa and great uncle, we play slower rounds.
How do you like I said, like Trace and Sean, I walk to my ball more often than not. Like if I'm in the cart, I'll sit in the passenger seat, I'll let you drive to your ball, I'll get my club and I'll walk to my ball.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
usually.
so I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to rock. It's not hey, we'll drive up here, we'll get the right club, we'll get the distance, you hit your shot, and then we'll drive to the next ball and we'll do that.
But my great uncle, again love him. Shout out Uncle Frank. But he'll go around on golf courses and he'll look through the woods for other balls and it's like a party for him all day long. He'll just stay out there for as long as possible. I'm trying to hit a golf shot, and then the best is if I'm trying to hit a shot and I know I'm in front of him and I'm still waiting on him to go, like he'll go, you know what, you can go. And that's just not how golf works. So it throws me off and it ruins my round. But nonetheless, we all play with strange golfers. That's it. You got one?
No, you're good.
I was going to say, let's go to break. So Jimmy, that happened, 2 minutes before break or 1 minute before break?
Yeah.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
Shaming Reed.
Welcome back in. We are Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. Thank you guys for listening or watching wherever you are. I'll be curious. Jacob, we brought this up yesterday a little bit. How do you think most people watch this show?
I don't know. I think it's more audio than we think.
I think it's a lot of audio too. I think people. We went up to the Reds game yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was, time. We went up to the Reds game and somebody says, "Hey, I don't ever comment in the chat or anything, but I just have it. I put it in my pocket and I just listen to it at work." So any way you consume this content, thank you very much. Immediately following this show, we will do a man on the street video, and then after that we have Jacob and Justin Kinner. Is that on the radio? And this is
It is not. No, it's
okay.
just
It's
Chatterbox Show.
just Chatterbox Sports. That will come on immediately following the video Man on the Street. I think it's a very funny video, and we'll see what you guys
good
have
one.
to say. We asked fans, do you forgive Noel V. Marte? Do you believe Noel V. Marte when he says drugs magically appeared in his system? We asked some other silly questions as well. But breaking news: Trevor Lawrence had a massive contract extension. I'll be curious to see what everybody in this room has to say about it. I don't think he's a very good quarterback, so I think they overpaid. But Reed thinks he's a great quarterback.
No.
Best in the league.
No. So here's what I'll say about Trevor Lawrence is did he get paid more than I think he deserves? Undoubtedly. I don't think you can argue that. I will say that is becoming the going rate for a franchise quarterback. And I don't think you guys can argue that Trevor Lawrence is not the franchise quarterback of the Jags. I think if we were all in the GM seat of the Jacksonville Jags, you'd say our options are cut ties with Trevor Lawrence or giving him an extension and see where this goes. And I think more, even regardless of what you think Trevor Lawrence has done to this point, I think you're going to say, I think you should give him extension, see where it goes. And this is where I say, like, the Joe Burrow contract in 5 years, we'll look at it and just say, man, what a steal that'd be as long as he plays on the field. Just the same way we do with Patrick Mahomes, the same way we do. And it's just the going rate for what NFL quarterbacks, franchise quarterbacks are getting. Has he earned this money? No, he will not. But if you think I'm going to sit here and give up on what was formerly the best high school quarterback in the country, what was formerly the best college quarterback in the country, unanimous first overall pick, everyone said this is one of the better prospects that we've seen. If you think I'm going to give up on that after a year where he was very injured for the majority of it, I think that's silly. Did they overpay? Maybe a little bit, but this is also the going rate for quarterbacks. So I'm not worried about it for the Jags at all.
You can't really argue with that. I mean, if you're going to extend a quarterback now that's been even decent, you're going to have to give him $50 million.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes sense that they gave him 55. I didn't necessarily think it would be this high, and I don't think I necessarily would have if I was the Jags GM. I think putting that money elsewhere into the roster instead of giving a quarterback that I think is about league average, a $55 million contract, is a better way to go about it. I mean, I know the next year's draft class is weak, but I think you could sign someone in free agency that can put up similar numbers. I really don't think Trevor Lawrence is good. And I mean, if you think he can actually win the AFC, I guess it's a reasonable contract, which they obviously do. But I mean, as a Bengals fan, I was ecstatic to see he's going to stay in the AFC for a while. I don't think the Jags are a threat whatsoever. Went down there and beat him with Burrow. Went down there and beat him with Browning. I'm not really worried about the Jags. They lost a ton on offense. Mm-hmm. They lost Calvin Ridley. They think Gabe Davis is going to be a legitimate number one receiver, I guess. So I think there's a lot more holes in the Jaguars roster than you would think originally. And this contract makes it really hard to fill those holes.
They were 8-3 before he got hurt.
9-3.
They were 9-3 before he started getting banged up. So I think this team. I mean, this is what Colin Cowherd famously said. He thinks they could be the number one seed. I think everyone was a little over their skis when it came to the Jags last year, but I still think this is a team that can compete. I think it's so funny how quickly we forget in this "What have you done for me lately" league, and we're seeing this with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. People forgetting about how good the Bengals are. Just because our star quarterback got hurt for a year, if the Jags win the AFC South this year, that won't surprise me. That might be shocking considering what the Texans did last year, considering what the Texans have done this offseason. But if the Jags win the AFC South, I don't think that would surprise me at all. And like I said, this is maybe too much money for what he has shown, but that's the going rate for a franchise quarterback. And I think we can all agree that this is the Jaguars' franchise quarterback, Jaguars.
Listen, I love this conversation because there was someone did a great job of comparing Trevor Lawrence to another quarterback.
This is good.
And I love bringing this up. I have it bookmarked on my Twitter because I feel so passionate about this. Trevor Lawrence had 12,200 total yards, 6.7 yards per attempt, 66 total touchdowns, 35 interceptions, 20 fumbles lost, a quarterback rating of 85.5. Daniel Jones had 11,992 yards, 6.7 yards per attempt, the exact same. Total touchdowns 64, only 2 less. 33 interceptions, 2 less interceptions than Trevor Lawrence. Fumbles lost 21, just 1 more fumble lost, and a quarterback rating of 85.4. They had the same exact record in the playoffs. And I could argue that Daniel Jones has done it with less.
I would agree with that.
So
He's never had a weapon as good as Calvin Ridley.
And Daniel Jones has a smaller contract, and I think Daniel Jones' contract is bad. So that being said, I think that this is a wildly overpaid quarterback at the moment. Makes Joe Burrow's contract look great now.
Makes it look better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually shocked that they
too.
paid the highest for him, and now the rest of the NFL world is freaking out about their quarterbacks. There's people saying that Dak Prescott deserves more than Trevor Lawrence. I just read a Fan Nation article arguing it. Are we really going to see Dak Prescott with more than 55 a year?
He's easily better than Trevor Lawrence.
He is better than Trevor Lawrence.
It's not close.
But this contract is just wild in
I agree.
terms of what's happened now in the NFL.
It's just the way that it is. This is what you pay for a franchise quarterback. The same way that we can go on Zillow.com right now and we can say, man, this house is crazy expensive right now. That's just what you got to pay for houses. Just the way that the market's working right now. And you can lament about it. You can figure out ways to circumnavigate it. But at the end of the day, like Trevor Lawrence, everyone knows that he was going to be the quarterback for the Jags. I think before this contract came out, we all knew that he was going to get an extension. And like I said, I think if we're all in the GM seat, I think we all probably give him the extension because we know how important quarterbacks are. The Jaguars' success is dependent on Trevor Lawrence. It is. With or without Trevor Lawrence, it's got to roll through him. That's who they set up their entire franchise around. So, yeah, you pay him franchise money. And you just realize, hey, if he's not very good, this team's not going to be very good. So I'm okay with taking the risk here. I'm okay with giving him this money. And yeah, Dak Prescott will get in the higher 50s. It won't be this long of a deal. It'll be a shorter-term deal. But I don't know. Like at the end of the day, we could say this is too much money. I probably agree with that. But Trevor Lawrence was never going to agree to $40 million. He was never going to agree to $45 million. He was always going to get a $50 million contract. And it's just, what can you do this year? When you're healthy, when you have high expectations and a challenging division, which I think the AFC South is going to be between the Colts, Texans, and Jags, what can you do? What can you do? And we'll find out.
I think a part of it, too, is you do have to pay a star, a quote-unquote star, when you have one available to you. And the marketing side of the NFL and sports is a big factor, who sells jerseys. And whether or not I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, the people in, however few fans they have in Jacksonville, there are people who think, yeah, I know Trevor Lawrence. I watched him play in college, 2 national championships. I think he's a good player. I bought the jersey. I'm telling my kid to watch him. And it's all of that goes into a contract as well. It's not just you have to be the world's best quarterback. You have a star. And that's where I think, as much as I agree with Jacob, that I do think there's a sizable amount of backups that can produce similar efficiency that you could find. None of them have the name that is Trevor Lawrence, and that goes into it as well. I don't know how much it goes into it, but it certainly plays a role in today's NFL landscape, in today's sports landscape. Just you're paying superstars left and right. But saying all that, I do not think Trevor Lawrence will ever win the AFC. I think this contract might as well be a death sentence for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They'll be competitive because I don't think that division's very good, but outside of that, I don't know.
I think we look at the Daniel Jones contract, 3 years after it started, 2 years after it started, and we knew that we think it's dead already. We know that that's already a terrible contract, and I feel incredibly comfortable saying that regardless of what happens the next few years, we will not look at Trevor Lawrence's contract the same way that we look at Daniel Jones. I feel incredibly comfortable saying that. Like, we know that Daniel Jones is no longer the franchise quarterback of the New York Giants. We know that the Giants are given a raw deal with their contract. I feel incredibly confident. Regardless if Trevor Lawrence wins the AFC, I just know in 3 years we'll look at the Jags and go like, okay, that seems like decent money for Trevor Lawrence. It's not a dead-on-arrival contract.
I think if you're a top 5 paid quarterback in the league, the expectation has to be that you can at least compete for a Super Bowl, and I don't think Trevor Lawrence can.
Yeah,
I would even say Goff, when they signed Goff to $53 million, we've seen him compete for a Super Bowl. That roster is in a much better spot than Jacksonville is.
So this is where it's interesting. If the Jags played in the NFC, we're having a different conversation right
I don't
now.
disagree with that.
Like Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 6, 7 quarterback in the AFC. If he's in the NFC, he's a top 5, no doubt. I think that's like if he's in the NFC, it's a much different conversation.
Close.
But that is an interesting point. Like, can he win the AFC in a conference that has Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert? Can he win this conference? And it's a lot tougher. C.J. Stroud on there as well. I don't know. I just feel incredibly comfortable saying that 3 years down the line, similar to how we look at Daniel Jones' contract and say that was dead on arrival, that's a terrible contract. I do not think we'll look at Trevor Lawrence's contract the same way. I do not think that.
Yeah, I do think that you talking about how good the NFC is AFC is quarterback wise is true, and that is why people look at this contract and think that it is bad. But I do think that the AFC South is very winnable, especially if C.J. Stroud doesn't live up to the MVP expectations that people have for him this year. And I honestly, if I had to pick a team to win that division, the Jaguars are very, very close to it. They collapsed last year.
Yeah.
So people forget where all they had to do was win like one of those games where they lost. Was it 6 of 7 that they lost?
Yeah, they were
5 of 6.
They were the number 1 seed after Thanksgiving. I think right around Thanksgiving they were.
They would win one more game to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they would have. And I'm looking at a thing right now that shows NFL teams and how many games they played last year against teams that made the postseason.
Yeah.
The Jags played 9 games against teams that made the postseason last year. The Texans played 4. The Texans had the lowest. So I agree. Like, if you ask me, I think everyone's really high on the Texans. I understand why. There are a lot of parallels between what the Texans did last year and what the Joe Burrow's Bengals looked like 2 years ago when we made the Super Bowl. I think similar to how everyone was trendy to say the Bengals are gonna take a major dip the next year. Obviously, they went to the AFC Championship. I'll be on the trendy thing and say I don't think the Texans are making the postseason. I think the Jags win the South. That's my trendy pick that I'll say.
I think Jimmy's right. I think that division is more winnable than any probably other division in football right now at this very moment.
I think they have 3 really good
NFC
teams.
South.
I think it's very challenging.
I think it's competitive.
I think
because
it's just a wild card. I think it's just there's a lot of teams you don't know if they're going to win. I think if the Colts stayed healthy, they can be competitive. I think if the Jaguars are healthy and Trevor Lawrence is playing 17 games a season, yeah, I think they have a chance. And obviously, we know all about the Houston Texans, so it certainly is winnable. I wouldn't say there's 3 playoff teams coming out of it, but I'd say it's a very competitive, winnable division. And if the Jaguars believe in their guy and they think if he stayed healthy last year, they would have made the postseason, then why not pay him? I wouldn't have paid him that number. But nonetheless, like Reed says, with the way the NFL has gone, you have to pay him that number because he's one of the best quarterbacks in football.
We touched on Dak probably getting close to 60, at least high 50s.
It'll be the highest per year.
60.
Tua obviously up now as well. The last Dolphins offer was $41 million average annual value. I don't think there's any way they take a $15 million jump offering him a contract. I mean, I know that's what franchise quarterbacks are getting now, like you said.
I don't think Tua is a franchise quarterback. I think that's the difference.
I think Tua's better than Trevor.
I disagree.
Tua's statistically way better than Trevor.
Well, that's where when Casey threw out the Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence statistics. I mean, you could probably look up Tua's stats, and they're probably better than Joe Burrow's. Like,
I think the Dolphins have been better than the Jags since they came in with comparable rosters.
So the thing about Tua is I've seen him play big time games and shrunk in them. And I'm not saying that Trevor hasn't rose to that occasion before or anything like that. I'm just saying what I saw in the wild card round against the Chiefs last year between the Dolphins made me incredibly scared for the future of Tua. On top of that, and I know Trevor Lawrence is injury prone, I don't think Tua has the arm. I think he's injury prone, and I think he doesn't show up in big games. And in the second half of the year for the last 3 years, he has looked terrible. So that's where I'm scared on giving Tua franchise quarterback money.
I would say a lot of the things you just said about Tua can be said about Trevor too.
I would take, if you ask me 10 out of 10, we're playing pickup football and on the gridiron, you say, hey, you want Tua, you want Trevor Lawrence? I'm taking Trevor Lawrence 10 out of 10 times.
10 out of 10 times. That means it's time for a break. Justin, I'm going to read some of these super chats real quick. Justin Edgel, $1.99 to get Elliott some relief. Mark Fetters, Relief Fund, $5. Molly, $1.99 to fund Manners for this chat. Thank you to our YouTube chatters. We love you very much. We are going to take a break for our radio listeners over there on ESPN 1410. We'll be right back with you. Casey.
My bad, guys.
What?
The S word that I said.
Oh,
okay.
that one?
It happens.
That happens. It's not a big deal. It's
I'll
an
blame-
easy bleep.
I'll blame Elliot because he's been cussing around me too much. He's a bad influence.
Jimmy's covered himself in case he eventually cusses on air, saying it's not a big deal.
Well, I know who can help us with all our technology solutions. That's
Good
Encore
transition.
Technology. They provide IT solutions for a data-centered world with the suite of services from mobile computing, desktop data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
there we go, Jimmy.
That's the one.
Productivity. That's the right word. The path to innovation begins right here. Visit encore.tech. And let me tell you, before I knock over my mic, this lovely bottle of water right here, Pawnee Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use. The result being a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNI water.com so you can buy this great tasting water. And before we go back to the radio, just drop a like, hit the sub button, check out our videos that we post every day basically after the show. We do some stuff outside of the show, like the man on the street. We're going to be showing that off here at like 11:45, right?
That's when I scheduled it. I still don't understand the premiere thing, Casey.
Yeah,
You might have to take a
so-
look at it.
yeah,
But
so-
yes, it will be at 11:45.
Yeah, so the premiere, it starts at 11:45, but there's a 3-minute countdown. So we have to officially be out by 11:48 at the start of that thing. So don't worry about that, though, chat. I'm going to redirect you after this show. And then after that, after the man on the street, tune in to Grip It and Rip It with Tissot and Kinner. That'll be at 12.
I think you messed up the rhyme.
What?
I think it's Grip It and Rip It with Kinner and Tissot.
Well,
Not Grip It and Rip It with Tissot.
I didn't
Kinner.
realize.
That
I
would
didn't
take the
realize
whole
that there was a
thing.
a
Because
play
it
on
would
words
take
there.
because the whole point of it is that it rhymes.
I didn't even realize there
It's
was
true.
a play on words there. So
Well, I don't play with
I-
words.
Grip It and Rip It with Kinner and Tissot. There you go.
Sounds better.
And then become a member. Share the show with other people. It's a great show. So
Yeah, share it with Brian. You know what I want to do during this segment too? I want just one random thought by Jimmy during this segment. I want to poke inside Jimmy's brain and see what he's got over
Prod
there.
around a little
Not
bit.
golf, just any.
Once you open up that Pandora's box, it's no closing it, brother.
I want one general Jimmy thought for the day.
Well, with all the
It
productivity,
doesn't have to be sports. It doesn't have to be anything. What are you thinking of right now, Jim?
What am I thinking of right this second?
Yeah.
I'm currently looking at the U.S. men's national team Copa America roster.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
Wow.
But that's what I'm
got
thinking
any,
right now.
You got any
What about
standouts on that one?
No one really surprising.
Well, they would all be
It's like
surprising to
realistic.
me, Jimmy.
True.
Brian asked you a question, Jacob.
Very serious question.
Very serious question. Yeah, so we're going to take a break. And when I say break, 5 seconds of silence, then we're going to come right back to the radio.
Sorry? Pardon me?
We're not on the radio yet, so I can cuss in this magic world.
What just happened?
What was that? Casey launched something.
Am I being egged?
I think so. All right, now 5 seconds of silence. Welcome back. We are Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Thank you very much for listening and on your car or radio. If you're listening on ESPN 1410, if you're watching on YouTube, we love you very much. But we have a various. What's funny?
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you could see Reed had his tongue out for that whole intro.
Oh, did he?
All of his tongue. His entire tongue.
That's cute.
Damn that thing.
Can you touch your nose with that thing?
Not quite.
I can get up there.
The radio listeners will love that
If
bit.
you want to see my
Love
tongue,
that
get
bit.
in our YouTube, radio listeners.
Listen, as we transition here and I believe we're going to end the show with the worst contracts ever. But before then, the Reds do play a very meaningful series this weekend, starting tonight at 8:10, where Hunter Green is on the bump for the Cincinnati Redlegs, taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers are strolling into town with a 40. I guess we're strolling into their town. 40-28 they are. They're 20-11 at home. That doesn't bode well for the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are 15-16 on the road. The Reds are also 33-35, 7 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers. If you're able to take 3 games here in a sweep, you'd gain significant ground. I don't think that'll happen, but I think there's a chance the Reds can win this series. And I do think it is important to show not only just to win the series and try to get to 500 or a game below realistically. I do think it's important to try to take some ground against the Milwaukee Brewers specifically because they've had the Reds number over the past several seasons.
39-25 against the Reds since 2020.
Yikes. And I'm curious to see, I know we don't have that number available to us, how many runs the Reds have scored during that span, because it seems like whenever the Reds go to Milwaukee, it's just a low-scoring 2-1, 3-1, 2-0 loss every single time. I was in Milwaukee for 2 games last year, right around this time actually, and it was when Ellie De La Cruz stole all the bases. He stole second, third, and home in a span of 5 minutes. That was very, very cool. But the Reds' offense in that series did not show up. I'm concerned the Reds' offense will not show up yet again.
The Reds have been outscored by 50 runs against the Brewers since 2020.
Yikes.
305 to 295, or
Yeah.
255.
Yikes. It's not very good. There's no doubt about it. That has to be the worst team since 2020. That has to be the worst team in the division, right? Like that we're up
I don't
against?
know a quicker way to look up everyone's
Yeah,
division, but yeah, I would certainly assume so anecdotally. I mean, every time we play the Brewers, we get beat, whether they come here or whether they leave. I was looking at the ballpark app the other day, and by far my best record team is the Milwaukee Brewers, which is just incredibly upsetting because all of those games have been at Great American Ballpark. So, they dominate us every year, and it's Freddie Peralta on the mound tonight, I believe.
Yep.
He obviously has our number seemingly every time he pitches against the Reds. I like our chances tonight with Hunter. He always gives us a fighting chance. He's pitching out of his mind in the last couple of months of this year, but I don't know. It just seems like every time we go to Milwaukee, nothing goes our way.
No, I hope it does this time around. The Brewers have not been exactly scoring a ton of runs, so it seems like we're playing the Brewers at the right time. They just came off a series against the Blue Jays. They did win that series, but 3 runs in Game 1, 0 runs in Game 2, 5 runs in Game 3. And before that, they did play the Detroit Tigers. And again, they won the series, but I'd argue it wasn't their best. So I think the Reds can take the Brewers. As of right now today, the Reds' offense has been much better. It's still not where I want it to be, but with Jeimer Candelario playing the way he's been and Spencer Steer and Jonathan India picking it up lately, I think there's a chance the Reds can win this series and maybe potentially sweep. Maybe. Potentially.
I think the Reds get swept.
Wow, strong.
You think
Tell
the
them how
Reds
you
get
really
swept?
feel.
Yep.
Is it competitive, though?
No.
Not competitive at all?
Any further insight?
Probably what's run differential this weekend's -26.
That would kill the run differential rankings in the National League.
That would kill us. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Want me to go in deeper?
No, I think you're good.
Yes.
Okay.
But around the National League, we were talking about that too, about how maybe not great it's been. The Padres and Dodgers lead the NL West. Everybody else in that division under 500. The NL Central, everybody's under 500 except for the Brewers. And if you go to the NL East, everybody's under 500 except for the Braves and the Phillies. So that would be how many teams? 4 teams above 500 in the National League. And I will say this. If you're a Reds fan and you look at things with a glass half full type of lens,
How do you look at it?
That glass is 3/4 empty for Elliott.
I don't even think it has any liquid in it.
5 teams in the NL have a
5 teams, sorry.
Yep.
5 teams have a winning record in the National League. If there was a time that you'd like to see the Reds go on a hot streak, it's right now against only divisional teams. You're playing a whole bunch of them here coming up. Milwaukee Brewers and Pittsburgh Pirates right up next, excuse me. And I think there is a serious chance at the postseason. If you're able to somehow survive this stretch, go 500, go a little bit above 500, win in your division, and make a little bit of noise. So there is hope. There is hope and optimism. We just got to believe. Nick Martini might be the superstar we needed, Jacob.
I'm not going to say anything bad about Nick Martini.
You're not?
No.
And why not?
Because he mashes in AAA. Have you
does-
seen how many Martini
He
he
does.
has sent to the Havana
Chucky
Cabana
Robinson
Day?
Chucky Robinson hit very well in AAA too. and nobody said boo about him.
You loved Chucky.
I
last
love Chucky Robinson. Chucky Robinson was one of my favorite Reds that barely played.
Did he come up?
He came up.
He
once.
did.
I think he
Good
came
for
up.
him.
And he was terrible.
He was
It
horrible.
was
Good
like
for
one. He was like 1 for 30.
Yeah, he was tremendously bad.
That's good.
But saying all that, yeah, Nick Martini likely to be the roster move to face right-handed pitching. I have no really issue with it because again,
He's the best one we probably have.
yeah, he'll come in to pinch hit and that's all. He's a bad defender though.
Let's play a
He
new
won't play
game
now,
on this
though.
show.
Let's play a brand new game.
It's called Name That Reds Twitter. This is how we're gonna play it.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you a tweet, and you guys are gonna guess who in Reds Twitter tweeted this.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Sure.
Nick Martini, last call-up. In 35 plate appearances, he went 258, 343, 419, 116, weighted runs created plus, 3 extra base hits. He's batting 289, 379, 440, plus 134, weighted runs created plus against right-handed pitching. If he's the call-up with only 4 left-handed pitchers scheduled over the next 17 games, I don't like Nick Martini, but I get it. Hashtag Reds. Who tweeted that?
Definitely not Nick Kirby.
I'm gonna say Bryce.
Bryce Spalding's
Nice.
correct. That is
Yes.
a Bryce Spalding
That's
tweet.
a good one.
Do you have another one?
Nope.
That was it.
That's a good segment.
You should. You
Just
should
try to sell that next time.
we should try to sell it. You should have used one of my tweets.
I was literally pulling up your Twitter, and I was going to ask Jacob.
Okay, let's do it anyway and pretend we don't know.
Okay. This is a tweet from Reds Twitter, Jacob.
Okay.
Can you name the Reds Twitter?
Let's see.
The tweet says, Candelario, exclamation point. Then there's 2 spaces. Then it says, it's candy time, exclamation point. Then there's 2 spaces. Then a hashtag Reds and a gif of Willy Wonka with cool shutter shade glasses on.
I know that's E-Train 513.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Yeah, it is.
right. That's
Listen,
right.
you get all that analysis and numbers with Bryce and Nick. You get that Willy Wonka GIF with me. That's
You're the Twitter GIF king, right?
I am the Twitter GIF king. That's what they call me in the circles, in my circles, my personal circles. But Casey Rue, is it finally time to send Ellie De La Cruz down to AAA?
I've been thinking hard on that question for a while now. I don't think it's time. I think he's definitely had enough of a comeback here to not send him down. I think he's definitely solidified his spot on this team's starting lineup. So, not that I ever had that unwavering faith for him.
You believe in Ellie De La Cruz.
Always have.
You never doubted him.
You never wanted him in Daytona?
Never wanted him to go to Daytona. Always thought he would go to maybe Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
I mean,
That's not right.
Chattanooga.
Nick
However you
Kirby.
wanna call it.
Nick Kirby's always in the chat. He doesn't talk a lot in the chat, but when he does, it's to correct me. Chucky Robinson had a 101 WRC plus at AAA last season. Nick Martini has a 188 WRC plus this season.
Good for Nick Martini.
So we're saying Nick Martini certified better than Chucky Robinson. But Chucky will always be my guy. I'll always miss Chucky. I'm not going to badmouth him like some people. I will not do it. But that's it. Listen,
One more.
Go ahead.
One more Reds Twitter.
All right.
One more Reds Twitter. Can't tweet about Ellie without a bunch of old guys making the same joke about swing and miss every single time.
I saw this one. This
We
morning.
know. Who tweeted that? From Reds Twitter. Who tweeted that?
Reds Daily?
Not Reds Daily. Jacob, you want to give it
Is
a
it
guess?
a friend of the program?
Friend of the program.
I know who it is.
I know, too.
If Jimmy knows who it is, then it's got to be Clay Snowden.
It is Clay Snowden. It is
Oh!
Clay Snowden. That's right. That's right. You guys are good at this game.
Clay Snowden.
Everyone on Red's Twitter, every friend of the program on Red's Twitter has a very discernible way that they tweet.
I do not follow someone from Red's Twitter unless they're a friend of the program. So, yeah, that's that. I'm not actively searching for Reds content.
You could always read some real good tweets on air if you wanted to get off of ones we follow.
Yeah,
true.
sure.
Deep Red's Twitter is
The
has
Reds,
some good takes.
the Reds have not lost a series, by the way, in their last 4.
What do we say? No sweeps.
No sweeps. Anything but a sweep is fine. You take one game against the Brewers, nobody's going home sad. I'd like to win the series, though.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I want to win the series as well.
Are we going to die on that hill?
I'll take that risk. I would like to win the series. I'm okay saying
think
that.
I think so.
I've got one more.
Okay.
I've got one more. This tweet is sent at Chatterbox Sports. This is the tweet at Chatterbox Sports. This guy looks like a proud boy. Who tweeted that?
It was definitely about you.
Correct.
I think I know.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That is fair enough. I didn't want to bring up that can of worms. I don't want to get in the line of fire. But
You think I was in the line of fire when he called me a neo-Nazi?
yeah,
Probably. Probably.
Head on.
can you say that on radio?
If you can't say Nazi on the radio, there's probably got to be an AM radio station that exclusively talks about World War II. And if you can't say that word, that channel is done for.
I agree. That's all the Reds news I have. We're going to get into the top, what is that? Not just top 5, right?
10.
Top 10.
10 worst contracts
Active.
active in sports.
Active contracts.
That's coming up next and more. We are Off the Bench. Chatterbox Sports presented by United Dairy Farmers. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back with you. Welcome back in. We are Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I am Elliot Rearing, Reed Mouse, Jacob Tissett, Jimmy Collins, and Casey McAllister, all in the room as well. I see some of the chatters on the YouTube stream. They would like us to review NFL uniforms next.
We will do all 64 NFL tops.
We can
Yeah.
get 96. Do the color rush jerseys.
Okay,
color
all
rush.
96. We will rank them top to bottom.
Second hour of Wednesday's show is going to be the 96 NFL jerseys.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. Well, I think we need next week. We're just going to do it that's the entire 10 hours of content you get here on Off the
I like
Bench.
that. I like that idea.
Brian B. says Kirby should bail from this sinking, grifting ship and start his own show. Thank you, Brian. Always fun to read Brian's chats. Man, there's nobody who just sits at home and complains and cries more than Brian B. But we love it.
We love
But
you,
he's
Brian.
here every
single day.
Every single day. So thank you, Brian.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian B. Thank you for being a watcher of the show.
We were talking about this. I think this whole segment stems from the Anthony Rendon stuff because Anthony
I think
Rendon.
I think it stems from Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it's the Trevor Lawrence contract.
Well, I think we started talking about it when Anthony Rendon came out and said baseball's like his 5th priority behind his family.
Which
and,
I know that quote was taken terribly, but like family, religion, friends.
Right. Believe it or not, Chatterbox is
Like,
not
yeah.
is probably the 5th most important
If
responsibility
I,
in my life.
I don't want baseball players on my team to make baseball their top priority. I want them to be decent human beings. Isn't that what you said?
Right.
Correct. So I guess if that's the case, I love Anthony Rendon. Very good contract. But this segment is fun. I will be curious to see who's some of the best here. I was doing some other stuff while this list was being compiled. But if my number one worst contract ever, personally, just me alone, is Mike Moustakas. Was there ever a contract that didn't live up?
You talking about the new guy in town?
I'm talking about the new guy in town.
He was going to save this program.
He was the program. He was Mike Moustakas. Poor Moose. Poor Moose just didn't live up to any expectation whatsoever. He just stole our money and left town. And for that reason, thank you, Mike Moustakas. That's my personal one. He won't be on this list, but that's my personal.
What was
one.
your reaction when it was announced that he was signed? Were you excited? When he was announced that he was signed?
Yeah, because he had
Can't say no,
I think
yeah.
he had 30 doubles and 100 RBIs, 30 home runs. He was unbelievable.
World Series champ.
He was great with the Brewers the year before, so you have to sign him. You have to make the move. It's not a bad move in terms of just going out and trying to look for somebody that can help the Reds' offense. But it objectively didn't work.
Flipped a coin that summer with him and Castellanos, and I got a Moustakas jersey.
Oh no!
Was glad I had it when I burned it when he left.
Were you a jersey burner?
Big time. And I've burned jerseys and then had to go order new ones because it was a rash decision.
I've been accused of being a book burner by someone on Twitter before.
Okay.
So yeah. Let's get into the
Not
top.
quite the same.
Let's get into the top 10 worst contracts. Before we get into it, we're going to do an honorable mention. This couldn't crack the top 10. I think it's financially dumb, but to the people that made the contract, what's it matter? And it's all the live golfers. I mean,
Yeah.
they just threw money at those golfers. It'll never amount. They'll never get their money back. But, yeah, I mean, it's just
It's the equivalent of you paying me $1. So.
I think we were talking about this, and Elliot said all those players' careers are ruined. I said their careers have never been better. They're making $300 million, and they don't have to compete. They could just show up.
Their careers are ruined in the sense that a lot of them just don't play good golf anymore. I saw like Cam Young was shooting an 85 on a live, or Cam Smith, was shooting like an 85.
Too many Cams.
Way too many Cams. Far too many Cams on the PGA. Well, no longer on the PGA. John Rahm got hurt in his last event. He hasn't been himself. I was watching a preview for the U.S. Open, and they were talking about it. And John Rahm, I think he's lost his fire. You lose your passion to play when you sign a contract like that. And you're like, yeah, I'll play 2 rounds every what do they play, once a month?
Yeah.
And you just go through it like that. It's like, yeah, you lose your competitive drive. Dustin Johnson. What happened to Dustin Johnson? He's terrible now. Legitimately a bad golfer now, and it all started when you signed that $400 trillion deal with Live Golf.
To be fair to Liv, I mean, there are guys like Bryson and Brooks whose image has probably grown since they went to Liv. I mean, Brooks won the PGA since he left. We talked about Bryson at the Memorial, how he's probably done a bigger 180 than anyone on the tour, anyone in sports, and it's because he has the freedom on Liv to do his social media stuff.
I hate his 180 because I was alone in Bryson's corner.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, Bryson's kind of cool. And I liked rooting for a villain.
I hated Bryson. I've come around.
Yeah.
When he switched the hats, that was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. I was the biggest Bryson hater of all time. I hated the way he played. I thought he was smug and pompous when he worked out to just infinity muscles, and he was driving over whole lakes to get a 2 on a par 5. He would still 3-putt anyway. But saying that, Bryson's image has turned completely around. I cheer for Bryson. The video came out of him, throwing a golf ball to a kid. Some guy stole the golf ball from the kid, and Bryson got all up in his face, said, "Give it back." Listen. There hasn't been a bigger image change in golf over the past 15 years than that, probably.
15 years. Yeah,
15 years.
We're right on the edge of the Tiger.
Yeah.
The Tiger.
Tiger came back to us.
He did, but that was a sharp image change in a hurry.
But yeah, so I agree with this. I agree with this being the honorable mention for the most part. Huh?
Scotty. Bad boy Scotty.
Delinquent from the law.
Maybe.
Right. He went from Christian Scotty to bad boy Scotty in a hurry. One rip pants. That's how quickly it happened. Now coming in at number 10, we had to throw a basketball contract on there, so we decided Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons got a 5-year, $180 million deal. When Ben Simmons was in college, I legitimately thought he was the next. LeBron James. That LSU team was terrible. They were on ESPN every single night.
Didn't even make the tournament.
Yeah, they were on ESPN every single night. And I remember when he was good. When he was good for the 76ers, his odds to make a single three-pointer was like plus 250 to 1.
Yeah.
In a single game. And I just wanted him to tell someone. Now we talk about gambling. It's just like, hey, put some money. I'm gonna be chucking them up tonight.
He never failed to put out a closed gym shooting highlight, just banging 53s in the middle of the summer. Though there was no one like Ben Simmons who could get you back in during the offseason. I mean, he would post the coolest highlight videos.
Has he shot 53s in his NBA career?
Shot, probably. Made, definitely not.
Yeah. Ben Simmons. Yeah.
But, I mean, that contract, just to clear everything up, is still, with the 76ers, is still active. So, he obviously cost them that series against the Hawks without going for that layup, and now he's on the Nets and still not playing with that back injury. So, I mean, that is just a terrible contract. And we were talking about basketball for this, and 76ers had another one that almost made the list. Tobias Harris has been terrible there, and he had a 4-year, $160 million contract too. So
15 games this past season, 42 the season prior, 58 the season before that. 57 the year before that. He just doesn't play basketball anymore.
Right.
And yeah, $180 million. That's what that contract was. Yeah. That's lunacy.
That's not even. What's crazy is that's not even top 50 in NBA contracts. The NBA is so weird because the role players get paid $200 million just because the stars have their own personal deals and endorsements and stuff like that. So Luka doesn't need to be the highest paid guy in the league because he's going to get plenty of endorsements where he'll make more money than I think the highest paid guy in the league is Jaylen Brown.
It is.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown's the highest paid guy in the league, so it's kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson got a 3-and-D rotational player contract. So, I mean, it's not even proportionate to other sports. It's hard to look at basketball contracts and say they're so bad because the numbers jump off the page, but where they land within the sport, it's just not that bad.
Right. There's going to be a lot of baseball contracts on this because with no salary cap, people get a little squirrely. And speaking of getting a little squirrely, we'll go Nick Castellanos at number 9. You don't think it's a bad contract?
I mean,
I'm one of the worst players in the league
this season. Yes.
He's getting 5-year, $100 million, so $20 million a year.
$20 million is not that much money anymore.
For Nick Castellanos.
$20 million is just not that much money anymore. It's
He's
really
a bad
not.
For
player,
a
though.
negative WAR
For
player.
the worst player in the league.
I mean, the
He's
past
a decrepit defender.
the past 2 seasons he's been fine. He's a bad defender. He hasn't been good, mind you, but he's been fine. He had 106 RBIs last year. 272. He doesn't walk at all. Doesn't get on base. So yeah,
He's worse than Will Benson.
last year. He's always available.
This year.
I think this year is
Benson's
worse
better
than
than
Benson. Yeah.
Castellanos this year.
Oh wow, 29 home runs. Yeah, I don't. Is he worth $20 million? Probably not. But I will say this: $20 million isn't a ton of money anymore in the current Major League Baseball format.
Are there any Reds making more than $20 million? No. I don't think there's a single one, right? No. 16's the highest.
Frankie's the highest.
Frankie's the highest.
16, 18, whatever he's getting paid, and then
No.
Jamer's getting like 16.
Castellanos finished 23rd in MVP voting last year.
That was a ooh. Remember that bet?
No, I don't.
You remember that bet?
No, I don't.
You bet me a lot of money that he would finish top 5, and I think I even pushed it back. I don't think he's going to finish top 10, and he didn't quite get there. All right, we're moving on from Nick Castellanos. Not a whole lot to go there, but no, I never got in number 8.
Well, that's good for time reasons, because we have 6 minutes left here.
All right, we'll run through it. Derek Carr. This contract doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's a 4-year, $150 million contract. We talk about how quarterback contracts just are what they are.
Yeah.
But Derek Carr, giving a guy that clearly was never going to get you to the status. Like, you can fool yourself into believing Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, all these guys can get you where you want to go. I don't think you can fool yourself into thinking Derek Carr is going to get you there.
I agree.
Almost $40 million for Derek Carr doesn't make any sense. Same with Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
$40 million for a team and a roster in New Orleans that's been cash strapped for the cap for about a decade now. They have to do, gymnastics every year just to extend their players. Guys like Alvin Kamara, who are crucial parts of that team, holding out now for a new contract. And you have Derek Carr on the hook for $40 million a year. There's not much you can really do.
Derek Carr and Andy Dalton were the same quarterback, right?
Very similar.
Derek was
Derek
a
Carr would have won
little
an
bit more
MVP.
of a playmaker. Derek Carr was a better playmaker than Andy Dalton, but at the end of the year, their stats pretty much evened out to be the exact same.
Yeah.
Derek Carr and Andy Dalton would both have an MVP if they didn't get hurt.
That's true.
It's true.
All right, coming in at number 7. This is a contract. This is what happens when owners get bullied into contracts. Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant was only signed to the Colorado Rockies. This is a 7-year, $182 million contract. Only signed because Rockies fans were getting after ownership after trading away Nolan Arenado. As we all know, Chris Bryant's not Nolan Arenado.
Yep.
But Chris Bryant just doesn't play. He's hurt all the time. He's very fragile. When he is on the field, it's not his power has gone by the wayside. Even in Colorado, it pretty much looked like a dead-on-arrival contract, and it has been just that.
I can't argue anymore. I like Chris Bryant. I like this contract. I thought he could have mashed in Colorado. Not the case. Chris Bryant, very, very bad. And Colorado, I don't know how many times they miss on free agents. It seems like it's a lot. Not as much as the Angels, but, man, tough. Tough to be a Colorado Rockies fan.
And this is his 3rd year in Colorado, and he has not surpassed 150 games played.
Wow.
He's gone 40, 80, 24 this year. So that's why it's such a bad. He's not an absolutely abysmal player out there when he does play, but it just never plays. So it's not worth talking about anymore. Number 6. This is an interesting one. It completely ruined the NFL in terms of contracts, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that it still can be salvaged.
I agree.
It still can be salvaged. We're going to go Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson got 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed. It was the first fully guaranteed contract in NFL history, and it has completely blown up the contract market in the NFL. But like I said, I don't have high hopes for this one, but it can be turned around if he gets the most out of a very good roster in Cleveland.
He's the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL now after the Trevor Lawrence extension yesterday, which obviously still high for a quarterback who hasn't lived up to what he was in college and in Houston. But yeah, I mean, I really do think he's not going to be as bad as he's been. The ceiling, or I guess the level for him to make that contract not a complete disappointment is pretty low with guys like Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, that defense. So I think they'll at least be competitive, be close to around 500. this contract's not as bad as other contracts in the NFL.
It's not. Yeah, it's not completely blown up.
Right.
Like it's not like you're just looking at it and going like, this is the worst contract I've ever seen, because the bar is pretty low from other contracts.
They do have a very cash-rich owner as well, which helps with signing bonuses and stuff.
Sure, and it's just it just completely blew up the market. And I think that's why it soured the NFL in period. But it can turn around. It might be the worst contract if he doesn't turn it around. But it also could get a lot better. It can completely get off this list.
Given all the circumstances, everything around it, this is one of the worst contracts ever signed. It is. I mean, that's all the controversy and how all of that could be brought up in 1 minute, and you're going to give him what? What did you say? 200 something guaranteed?
Yep.
Nonsensical.
And it was while it was going on. That's what was crazy.
Yeah.
It was while it was still actively going on was when that contract. They thought they were getting a quarterback that can have them contend for the Super Bowl. Hasn't been that.
People in the chat saying Deshaun Watson wasn't good in Houston. That might be some revisionist history, because he was up on Mahomes by a couple of scores in an AFC
up
Championship
on 3.
game.
I think he's up on. I think they were up 3 touchdowns.
Right, he was a dominant quarterback.
Division round.
Division round, sorry. Bona fide top 5 quarterback in the league when he was in Houston. Yeah. That contract, removing off the field stuff, that's what he should have gotten paid at that time. He was worth that as a football player. You can talk about the other stuff or not, but he was elite in Houston.
All right, coming in at number 5, we've got Javier Baez. I think we all knew this one was dead on arrival when it happened. It was a 6-year, $140 million contract. I thought it was higher. It's not as much money as I anticipated it was when I looked it up, but he's one of the worst players in baseball. He used to be, when he first got to Detroit, the hitting has never been there in Detroit, but at least he was a really good defender when he first got there. And you could say, okay, he's given us 2 WAR defensively. He's not even that anymore. He's almost unplayable, and yeah, it's getting worse by the second. But there are worse contracts in sports than this, and that's how bad these contracts that we're about to see. Javi Baez has become a laughingstock. He used to be at least give you cool plays every once in a while. He's not even doing that anymore.
He gives you a couple cool plays every week or so to keep you in on Javi Baez, but otherwise, people wouldn't care about him at all.
Yeah, this is just one that didn't work out. It's the only montage you see of Javi Baez is the abysmal swing.
The sliders.
Yeah.
We only got a wretched slider.
We'll rush through these.
Rush through these ones.
Number 4, Von Miller. He is signed until he's going to be 39 as a linebacker. It was a 6-year, $120 million contract. He's the reason that the Bills have completely had to blow up their entire secondary. They had to get rid of key pieces of their defense, and it's all for Von Miller, who has not played a whole lot. And when he doesn't even start. He doesn't even start for the Buffalo Bills. It seemed like a bad contract from the get-go, but he just came off the Super Bowl, and people were thinking, oh, Von Miller still has it. He still has it. He doesn't have it anymore. And it's the reason that the Bills' defense is going to take a major step back this year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
All right, coming in at number 3, Russell Wilson still owed $80 million for the
right around there
for the Denver Broncos. It was a 5-year, $43 million contract. It was one of the contracts that came just like Deshaun Watson after the Rams won the Super Bowl, and people thought that's how you win the Super Bowl. You go and get your guy regardless of what it cost. And Russell Wilson immediately was hated in Denver, even though having decent stats. He's paid so much in Denver that he could take the league minimum for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's going to haunt the Broncos for years to come.
I didn't hate the contract at the time. Obviously, if you look back at it at his time in Denver, it was bad. So
paying a quarterback or paying anyone to play for a different team is a pretty telltale sign that it was a bad contract.
Correct.
Right. Paying 40 plus
right,
million.
much less letting another team in your conference sign him for a league minimum.
How I've never seen a player more hated in a locker room than Russell. And that's even like I talk a lot about Aaron Rodgers. But like no one comes and defends Russell Wilson. No one.
Yeah.
Ever. Like former teammates. There's never been someone that stood up. People stand up for guys like Aaron Rodgers and other Draymond Green. People stand up for Draymond Green.
Yeah.
No one stands up for Russell Wilson. In fact, it's the complete opposite.
Russell Wilson had a separate locker room
Right.
in Denver away from the team.
He had an office.
Right.
He had an office.
He had his own trainers, his own coaches. Ridiculous.
You don't talk to him directly if you're a teammate. You call his agent or something.
Right.
Right.
He wouldn't
No
give teammates
one had
his phone number.
Legion of Boom didn't have his number.
Crazy.
Coming in at number 2, last 2 are baseball contracts from the same World Series team. It's Anthony Rendon.
Ooh.
Anthony Rendon got a 7-year, $245 million contract. He was the best player on that 2019 Washington Nationals team. He was a dang good player. He just doesn't like baseball anymore and doesn't want to play. And when he does play, it's not very good. He's been okay at certain times, but nowhere near. Similar to Chris Bryant, is hurt a lot as well. And when a player doesn't want to be there, he gets hurt, doesn't have a whole lot of passion to get back on the field.
Terrible attitude. It's evident he does, dude. He was arguing with fans. A video went viral before this season. He was arguing with fans. So, yeah, I think he has a terrible attitude, and that's what he is now. So, sorry, Anthony Rendon.
It's a shame because he was a really good player.
He was very, very
really
good. And then the other one from that 2019 Washington Nationals World Championship team is Steven Strasburg. He was the World Series MVP. They could have gone a lot of ways. They could have given Trey Turner money. They could have given Juan Soto money. They could have given Anthony Rendon money. They gave it to the World Series MVP, the guy that kind of turned around the franchise with Bryce Harper. And it's such a bad contract. They are now suing Steven Strasburg for retiring.
Really?
Yep.
They are suing
They're
Steven
trying to get out of the
Strasburg.
last couple years of the contract.
They're trying to get him to just be a
Pay it
coach.
back, yeah.
They're trying to get him to be like a coach. They just want him to be a national somehow.
Yeah.
They're like, we're paying you money and you're just doing nothing for the franchise. Please help us quantify this in some way.
That's the all-time bad beat because you have to make that move. Your World Series MVP starting pitcher.
Number one prospect in your organization coming up.
You have to make that signing, and it backfiring like this, all-time worst.
So since that contract was signed, it was a 7-year, $245 million contract, the exact same contract that Anthony Rendon got. He has thrown a total of 30 innings.
Oh, God.
And over 3 years, he retired 2 years ago. Total of 8 games. 8 games.
Oh, no. All right, well, that's it. That is your worst sports active sports contracts. And that has been our show, ESPN 1410 Wing AM. Radio-wise, have a great weekend. We'll be right back on Monday. Kinner Kev, up next. And we are back. Jimmy, you're gonna have to sprint through this top 10 list.
Okay, sounds good to me.
You got
We were going to do chat
8
power
minutes?
rankings for the first time in a couple of
You have
couple of weeks.
the video premieres in 5 minutes, which means and there's a countdown 2 minutes. So you have to finish this
All right.
real quick.
That sounds good.
8 minutes.
We will redirect you, right?
Yeah, you have 7 minutes.
Okay,
7 minutes.
Good.
Perfect. That's more than enough time.
I hope so.
My honorable mention is the rest of the people that are not on this
The
list.
rest.
That's good.
The rest.
That's a pro
Trademark.
move.
Jimmy the rest.
All right. Number 10, Brian B. He
Whoop,
says a lot of negative stuff in the chat, but
Only negative stuff.
But he says
only,
it.
only negative stuff,
he's there.
he's in the chat.
That's right.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you
Brian.
very much, Brian.
We love you.
Nobody's as negative as you, and that's
We-
coming from me.
We love you. You're a glass is half full kind of guy.
That's what he is. Yeah. Kind of guy you want to party with.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Brian B.
Number 9, he didn't say much today, but there have been a lot of times where he has sent a lot of big super chats. So, Michael Rolfe.
We love some Michael Roll.
Michael
We
Rolfe.
do love Michael Rolfe. Hasn't spoken the off the bench chat in a while, but whoop whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Has he ever spoken in the off the bench chat?
Yeah, he just did earlier.
Did he?
Oh.
Love you, Michael. Whoop whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, number 8, Mr. House.
Mr. House.
Mr.
Chi-town
House
real
became
estate.
Mr. House became a nut cutter today as well.
He did.
He did.
Welcome.
Shout out to Chi-town Real Estate.
Chi-town.
Chi-town Real Estate.
At least you have this with the White Sox losing every game.
That's right.
We love you.
Yeah,
Whoop,
that's right. Whoop. Whoop, whoop.
You first whoop, I'm second whoop?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's better.
Number 7. Sorry, I'm typing these in as we go.
Pro's pro.
Blackmore. I feel like Blackmore says a lot of good stuff. He's in the chat pretty much every single day. I think he makes Reed laugh probably once a show at least.
Blackmore's my guy.
So,
Blackmore's my guy.
Blackmore-
I'm gonna whoop. You whoop. Then you whoop. All right.
Blackmore and Brian B hate me the most, but I like Blackmore. I think Blackmore's good.
I love
like
Blackmore. Team
Correct.
team Blackmore. Ready? Whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, we gotta be quicker.
You gotta speed that up.
So I didn't know that's what we were doing.
Yep.
He only told us 5 seconds before.
Yeah.
Want to try it again?
I think
Yeah.
we go again.
All right.
Give Jimmy some more time to
Shout
figure
out
this
to number 7, Blackmore. Whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Ah.
That played.
We only got 3 minutes left.
all right.
Yeah, this is
Jimmy.
list is gone, Jim.
No, it's not.
Jimmy,
Number
start
6,
cooking.
Molly, I feel like she says something positive every single day. She's kind of like the mom of the chat, I would say.
All right,
So
we love you, Molly.
Love you, Molly.
Whoop!
Number 5. Mouse Cop. I think Mouse Cop's bit with hating Casey is very funny. So,
I agree.
so I've got Mouse Cop number 5.
Shout out to Mouse Cop. I will not whoop for Mouse Cop, so there'll only be 2 whoops.
There will only be one whoop.
Yep, we don't whoop.
I whoop for you. We gotta go.
We're
Gotta
going.
go.
we just.
What were you doing during the
Jimmy!
show?
Number 4, Everett. I was making the list during the show. Everett, he loves breaking news about golf, so he's number 4 on my list
That's
today.
right. That's what we know Everett for.
Hey, Ramley. Whoop!
Whoop!
Number 3.
I think you just read them. I don't think you have to type them in.
Nope, I'm typing.
I
Number 3
just
is
let-
Drew. Drew wasn't here today, but Drew and I have developed a rivalry and also some sort of a friendship. So I think,
I think he hates you.
no, we've talked before.
Jimmy hates.
I love Drew.
Drew,
Top 3. Whoop!
Drew Garrison. Whoop!
Whoop! Whoop! Whoop!
number 2.
Wow. Here we go. Look at Jimmy go.
Number 2 is Nate. I had a great time with Nate at the Reds game, so Nate is number 2 on my list.
I'm more of a beer guy myself, but I do love Nate Seltzer.
Seltzer.
Whoop!
Heyo!
Ah, there we go. Can't skip out on the whoops. My bad, Mouse Cop. Whoop, whoop.
Number 1, of course, Mark Fetters.
Naturally.
Mark
Marky
Fetters,
parlays.
Mark Fetters is
Superstar.
in every single chat of
Yep.
every single show, no matter if it's Box Lunch or the Golf Stream or something. He's always in there. So Mark Fetters is my number 1. And he sends me parlays every once in a while.
Shout out to superstar Mark Fetters. One whoop whoop to the champ this week, Mark. Superstar Mark. We've got what, 2 minutes now? Let's break down.
I don't know, do we have 2
let's break
minutes?
down the Palestinian war.
You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Let's do it.
Let's break down Israel and Hamas.
Go ahead and start, Reed.
Yeah, you go. You get.
Get the ball rolling.
You know what? I'm against war.
Yes.
What is it good for?
Yes. Yes. You guys aren't seeing fist.
Absolutely nothing, Jacob.
Yeah. But we will redirect you to this premiere of Man on the Street.
About 120 seconds.
In about 120 seconds. So see you guys. We love you. As always, look at Jimmy's cute little face. And we'll see you guys next time on Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Whoop, whoop. And we are anti-war. That's the hill we'll die on.
Or we won't die because we're not going to war because we're anti-war.
Grip it,
It's true.
with Kenner and Tissa coming after the video as well.